Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to welcome y'all to what the name of it is? Flipping Tables with Dee-1. You heard me? This the podcast. We about to start off with a quick prayer. Father God, bless these words, Lord. Thank you for today. Thank you for allowing us all to be here, whoever's watching this, just so that we have another opportunity to do your work and do your will. You heard me? Thy will be done instead of my will be done while we here on earth. God, man, just take all nervousness, all fear, all anxiety out of me so that I could speak in a way that is authentic and that gives light to my intelligence and my passion about the content that I'll be speaking on and touching, and just allow people's hearts and ears to be open to receiving these messages. You heard me? In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Wow, that boy, we in this thing. So this is officially the podcast, y'all. Flipping Tables with Dee-1. Yo, all I can say is life has changed in the past 24 hours. So, heck of a time. Look, phone ringing right now. Phone ringing. I ain't even going to answer it right now because I'm doing my podcast. You heard me? I guess I'm a rapper / college professor / podcaster. You heard me? Joe Budden had called me a podcaster before I even was a podcaster. So, hey, Joe Budden, I love you, brother. I love you, man. But anyways, that's an inside joke. So, yo, it ain't no joke. I really love him. But man, life has really changed in the past 24 hours. What I mean is Kendrick Lamar just dropped a new song. Let me get the title right on the song. It's called Watch the Party Die. You heard me? Watch the Party Die. That's the name of Kendrick's new song. So Kendrick shouted me out in the song. Let's just cut to the chase. He shouted me out in the song, and this is something to where people have been going crazy. Like, I have seen, like, so much has changed. That's going to be its own episode about everything that is changing and rearranging and elevating currently. You know, the Kendrick stimulus package is real. And there was a poetic way that all of this happened. So Kendrick drops this track about being fed up with hip-hop culture, fed up with the glorification of negative messages and of us, you know, having all these harmful, toxic ways of life that we are now platforming and glorifying and idolizing, right? Sound like somebody else I know named Dee-1, you hear me? Dee-1. And that brother, at a certain point in the song, you know, said, I want to be empathetic, my heart like Dee-1, but I will. He got silent after that. And then he said, we got to get rid of these devils. You heard me? Like, man, Kendrick is the most powerful rapper in the world right now. When he says that, it has added so much validation to everything I've been saying for the past 15 years. But people who want to ride off what I say as, oh, he just clout chasing. Oh, he just a hater. Now, they're having to look at it differently. And all of a sudden, the shift is really happening in a way that people can't deny no more. You feel me? This has been amazing. But what was more amazing, what was poetic about how this happened was when it happened. See, the day before Kendrick Lamar dropped this song, the news came out, you heard me, that he gonna be performing at the Super Bowl. I believe it's Super Bowl 59. It's in my city. For those of y'all who don't know where I'm from Anchorage, Alaska, you feel me? I'm just playing. I'm from New Orleans, proudly. I'm proudly from New Orleans, you heard me? And when it was announced that Kendrick would be performing, I just saw a whole bunch of backlash online, especially from my city. You know, it's New Orleans people all up and down my timeline. And people were angry, like legit angry, because one of our sons from our city, Lil Wayne, because he didn't get picked to perform. So people were so angry about that. And number one, the sense of entitlement that I saw people had, as if a person from that city where the Super Bowl is being held has to be selected to perform. Like, people were acting like this was supposed to happen and it didn't happen. So they pointing the finger at, it's Jay-Z that's hating and Kendrick don't deserve this and nah. And I'm seeing this and me just sitting back who didn't grow up on Lil Wayne in New Orleans? Like, of course I did. Like, I've been influenced by him in multiple ways. My rapping style, my hairstyle, you heard me? All this. But I was seeing that and I was just like, where's all this energy and all this negativity and this vitriol coming from? So I chose to get, man, I'm so glad I'm doing a podcast now because I don't have to condense this message into 90 seconds for a reel on Instagram, you heard me? So I just hurry up and I goes on Instagram Live, my Instagram Live, to talk about this. And I was speaking on live about like, man, y'all serious? Like, y'all really serious? Like, y'all mad at Kendrick Lamar for him performing at the Super Bowl, or y'all really saying that like Lil Wayne has to be performing at the Super Bowl or else we feel played? And you know, in New Orleans, when you say you feel played, man, that's like level 10 disrespect. You heard me? That's what that translates to everywhere else in the world. Oh, I feel played. When somebody from New Orleans say they feel played, watch out. Be careful. You might want to hit the exit. You heard me? And the city was feeling played behind that. So I got on there to be like, man, are y'all serious? Because to be honest, like I'm at a point in my life where I can separate the man from the message. You heard me? And me loving Lil Wayne, the man, Dwayne Michael Carter Jr., you know what I'm saying? The man, that'll never change. Like that's always, that's real. But when you talk about the message and you objectively look at the message that a lot of his music has glorified over 20-something years, it's like the reality is like, is that a better fit for the Super Bowl than Kendrick Lamar? And you look at his message, which none of us is without sin. Nobody is the perfect rapper or the perfect artist, including myself. But you look at what Kendrick's message overwhelmingly represents, and it's just like, it's two different things, you know? In some ways, it's very, and this whole world is like a melting pot. So you can be influenced by somebody, but still have a different message than that person that you were influenced by. That's me. I was influenced by DMX, Lil Wayne, the Hot Boys, you heard me? No Limit Records. But in addition to that, I was influenced by baseball and basketball coaches, a mother, a father, a grandmother, a grandfather, you know what I'm saying? Pastors, just different mentors, college professors. And it all is this pot of gumbo that makes Dee-1. So when I said that and I commented on that, and I was just like, man, like y'all serious? They had people saying like, man, the Hot Boys need to be performing at the Super Bowl or else we feel played. And I was literally like laughing because I was like, boy, my people serious. That's my people. That's my city. But boy, they serious right now. Like what's the word? I was flabbergasted. You heard me? I heard somebody use that word before. I was flabbergasted. That being said, I did the Instagram Live. I talked to like my little 300, 400, 500 people that I had on there. Might have been 600 at that time who was on there listening to me. And I got off live and I deleted that mug. I didn't save it. You heard me? Actually, I archived it. So I still got it. But it's like, this ain't even something I'm putting out there for everybody to see. I'm not trying to go viral off of this. Like literally, I'm getting rid of the content, right? So my life has changed in about the past 2 years. No, about the past year and a half. It's significantly changed. My platform has grown a lot. I guess I've gotten to the point now where when I go live, people be on my lives screen recording the whole live in case I say something juicy or spicy, right? To where they could take that and they could go and use that content for how they want to. I've never had that happen to me before, man. Like, I'm not used to that. So apparently somebody took the content, they cut it, they spliced it up, and put this clip together that's just basically saying like, man, it's just me saying the various things I said about Lil Wayne's message and what his music has glorified and the impact of what it has glorified throughout the years, right? Me being like, we ain't have gangs in New Orleans. We ain't have Bloods in New Orleans when I was growing up. But then all of a sudden, you start to see cats repping for they Bloods all of a sudden, and we seeing this on TV, and our city that's influenced by that. Next thing you know, in our city, we seeing that. We seeing the impact of a certain type of message being glorified to where it's constantly talking about guns and constantly talking about shooting people and just trigger play and all this and disrespecting women and constantly talking about dope and all this in a way that is done by arguably the best rapper alive. And I'm seeing how that makes that lifestyle seem really appealing to some people who otherwise wouldn't even be on that, you know? I've contemplated being a part of certain things before because of how tasty it sounded, how delicious it sounded growing up, constantly hearing it glorified by some of the best lyricists and some of the most creative artists in the world. Me, I've contemplated some of that stuff. So me saying that, long story short, I hope I ain't rambling too much. I said that, they put it on live. One of the biggest bloggers in the city, shout out to my dog, GDP. He got a hold of the clip and he posted it on his blog. So the streets follow his blog, like the streets of New Orleans for sure follow his blog. Man, when he posted that, the whole city just went to... Boy, I ain't never seen that much backlash from my city against me at one time. Never. I didn't even go and look at the comments and the responses to the posts for like 24 hours because I just had people hitting my phone personally. Man, this dude just made a video about you. Man, Pete almost said this, man. This other person said this, man. This person said this, da-da-da. My little nephew hitting me. Like, man, the city mad at you right now, D, da-da-da-da. You know, my little nephew here in high school. So I'm like, word? And then I thought about it, and the main thing was like this tribalism, like this. The main thing I'm hearing people say is, man, you know, we put the city over everything, you heard me? Like the city come before, we gonna ride for the city regardless. And the more I would hear people say that, the more I was like, okay, I'm not above ever growing and hearing other people's viewpoints and being like, I could have did this different, I could have said that different. But I'm like, I love New Orleans, but I love God way more. And if that hurts somebody's feelings, or if that make people feel a certain way, I can't apologize or back down from that type of statement, right? Because both of those things are true. I definitely love New Orleans, but I'm not going to put something ahead of what I know God wants glorified and the type of message that God is constantly not pleased with. You feel me? And this is in the word. This is through all these examples. And if you're watching this, don't try to make this no Christian stuff like, oh, that he just Christian. He trying to force his religion on us. No, the glorification of murdering your own people and selling dope to your community and disrespecting women and all that, that's not something that anybody is going to say God or this religion or that religion is cool with that. Like, don't play dumb right now. Like, come on, y'all. So when I'm seeing that and I'm seeing people be upset, I'm just like, okay, that's interesting. And then it just get deeper and deeper. So then you got people saying, you know, because then I did go look at some of the comments. And you got people like, man, I'm unfollowing Dee-1. You know, okay. Half the people didn't follow me to begin with already. So, you know, them being mad, it's like, what does that really mean? Like, what? Y'all not active supporters of mine anyway, right? But I'm genuinely coming from a pure place and being the same person I've always been when I've made these comments. Go look back in 2009. Go on YouTube. If you're watching this on YouTube, go look in 2010, a video of mine called J, 50, and Wheezy. The first song that ever really blew up and went viral for me. That song changed my life. That video changed my life. Bro, look at what I was talking about in that. The same thing I'm talking about 15 years later. I met 50 Cent in person back then in like 2010 and gave him a CD with that song on it and told him, check it out. That's a whole nother story. That'll be for a later episode. Like, I've been on this. I was a middle school teacher at that time. You heard me? I was rapping this and delivering this message to these brothers because I'm seeing the impact of their music and of the messages that's being glorified on my middle school students. Some of the students that it was impacting have been murdered since then. Some of them are in jail because they've murdered people since then. Some of them, like, their lives, man. Anyway, bro. So that being said, y'all, I put that out there. I started reading the comments. People were saying underneath the post, man, some people saying, man, Dee-1 can't come back to New Orleans, you heard me? Dee-1 canceled. Man, we better not catch that boy. And this is, like, man, we had Dee-1's back when he had issues going on with Rick Ross and Meek Mill and Jim Jones and Joe Budden. We had Dee-1's back. But what y'all fail to realize is y'all had my back, and I was saying the same thing then towards those artists that I'm saying now. But just because it's towards an artist that is from our city, all of a sudden, I'm supposed to change? I've been consistent for 15 years with the same message. So y'all want to pick and choose who the message applies to. No, the message is always more important than the man. Just like the message is more important than the money. So what we really saying, New Orleans? So as people saying this, I'm on Instagram Live last night. Okay, back it up. Damn, bro. I hope I ain't talking too long. My bad, y'all. That's my insecurity speaking. You think I'm talking too long, though?
No, you're not talking too long, man. You're doing really good.
All right. I hit my dog GDP up. I said, bro, I was like, I'm going to send you a video. Once again, I ain't even posting this on my platform. I'm going to send you a video explaining to the city my heart behind what I said. You heard me? New Orleans, I love y'all, but I love God more. Hip-hop, I love y'all, but I love God more. Lil Wayne, of course I love Lil Wayne as a man, for sure. But at what point do we say we can separate the man from the message? You know what I'm saying? I might love my own mama a whole lot. That's a person. But if her message and what she putting out there that's having an impact on the world, on the rest of our family, is something that's like, man, that's messed up. You could separate loving your mama from loving the message that your mama is putting out there, right? So I put that video out there. People still mad, just not even hearing it. I hit G there. I said, then a hurricane about to hit the city. I'm like, man, Lord have mercy, man. Our city, we so strong, so resilient. Like, we be going through so much. But I was like, say, brother, I'm out of town. Let's do an Instagram Live, and hopefully people will tune in, you feel me? And I got people I'm cool with who, at this point making videos and just going in on how they feel about me and all this stuff. It really hit home when my little nephew hit me, man. Like, when little JoJo hit me, and the type of conversation we had. So this is why y'all ain't gonna never catch me on here shedding no tears. But this why if I was on that type of time, this is where y'all will see that, because I had a real difficult conversation with him, right? Like right before I did the live, and I told him, I said, tune into this live that I'm about to do, JoJo, because I want you to see how, like, bro, who I represent while I'm down here is God. People could feel how they want to feel about anything, but you about to see me stand on business, you heard me? Stand on kingdom business, whether or not my own city not rocking with it, whatever. And it's just me being who I've consistently been. And hopefully this inspire you, you know what I'm saying? So as I say that, I go on the live. And sometimes, man, we are emotional people in New Orleans, and we are passionate people, I say. And, as much as I'd be like, all right, D, just go on there and just lay low and just be cool and listen to what he gonna ask me and then respond. Next thing I know, I go on there and it's like, there go that passion coming out, and I'm just talking, and I'm just, ain't no talking points. He asked one question and I'm going in, da-da-da-da-da. But it's all coming from a very purely passionate place. PPP, you heard me? Purely passionate place. Peace, positivity, and prayer. Call that PPP. If Jesus Christ, the bread of life, I eat for free like EBT. Don't speak to me so frequently if evil be unevenly. Dominating when you conversating. Have some decency. Recently, somebody wanted smoke. Knock it off. This the power of God versus the power of fraud. I'm not your competition. I'm the conversation that's going to sit inside your head and have you thinking about why you're living for Satan. Time to change it. All glory be to God. That's just a little Dee-1 featuring Project Pat on the new album, Loaded, that's out right now. My bad. I am a rapper too. But went on the live with GD. We had this talk, and I see some of the people who had been having, some negative energy for me come on the live, and they was in the comments. Shout out to the brother Big Pat Gunner, and various people who I saw in there. So I'm like, okay. And we talking, dialogue. While we are on there, and some people in the comments, Dee-1 finna be canceled in New Orleans, you heard me? Dee-1 can't come back to the city no more. Man, we unfollowing Dee-1. We ain't rocking with Dee-1. All this stuff that when it's your heart, that your heart was grown and nurtured and bred in this city, and they saying this about you. Like, I'm not numb to that stuff, man. Like, Come on, bro. I'm not numb to that stuff. And I'm knowing my little nephew watching too. And I'm just like, damn, bro, this is crazy. But I'm like, man, you gotta stand on it, D. You gotta stand on it. Like, you got to, bro. Cause you representing God. You feel me? While that's happening, all of a sudden, a wave of new people come in the comments. The numbers go way up. We already had hundreds of people on the IG Live. The numbers go up for some reason. And there's buku people, you heard me, coming on there saying, Kendrick Lamar just shouted you out, D-1. Kendrick just mentioned you. Kendrick just said your name. Kendrick just said something about you. Kendrick just shouted you out. Kendrick giving you your flowers. And I'm just thinking, man, it's just people trolling in here. So I'm like, oh, okay, that's what's up. They wasn't lying, y'all. They wasn't lying. And at the same time as my own city is going in on me and saying I'm canceled and, you know, I can't come back to the city and they ain't rocking with me, they not supporting me no more, they unfollowing me, then all this positive energy come in saying that, you know, basically the most powerful rapper in the world has just stamped and co-signed everything that I be standing on. And by saying that, you know, he wants to be empathetic and have a heart like Dee-1. Like that's a moment I can't recreate. So I told my partner G that I said, man, save this live, man. Save this live, because we need to see this, you know, this played out in real time. And I said it right then and there. Before I even heard the song or knew how he mentioned me, I was like, if he gave me my flowers, that's amazing. But I don't do this for flowers. Because even flowers die at some point. Like, man, I'm doing this so that God will say, job well done, young brother, when I got to face that man one day and be held accountable for everything I said and did while I was down here. That's why I'm doing this, you know? And I said that in real time, not knowing that, like, oh, the Kendrick stimulus package is real. So much stuff has, like, already changed, and I feel the wave and the motion, like I'm feeling that stuff in real time. But regardless of any of that, it's just like, do what's right to the best of your ability just because that's the right thing to do, regardless of who's watching and regardless of what acknowledgement you're going to get or potentially not get. That's the biggest lesson in all of this. And then when you get the acknowledgement, you know how to appreciate it, but you know how to contextualize it, because you realize that ain't why I was doing it in the first place. So I ain't going to get too high on the highs, but I ain't going to get too low on the lows either. And I experienced the highest high and the lowest low at the same time on Instagram Live in real time. My city saying I'm canceled and I can't come back to the city and they ain't rocking with me no more. And the biggest rapper in the world saying, I'm stamping this man. And I want to be empathetic and have a heart like Dee-1 at the same time. That's why I had to have a podcast. I couldn't have said all this in 90 seconds, man. You know? And some of the people in New Orleans still feel how they feel. That ain't changed nothing. I watched videos ever since then. Now they feel like it's a conspiracy. And they feel like, oh, Kendrick Lamar playing with us. You know what I mean? He just playing with us by shouting Dee-1 out, da-da-da-da. Okay, y'all. Like, okay. You know, so, like, it's never been about a unanimous approval rating. I'm doing what is unpopular in a lot of people's eyes with the stances I've been taking about hip-hop culture and what I'm calling out, you know? But trying to do it from a place of, like, is God gonna say, yep, man, keep going. You hear me? You ain't speaking loud enough. Keep going. David, keep going. And if I feel like, man, that's what God gonna be saying right now. That's what God's saying. All right, let's do it. It might not be pretty out here all the time, God, but sure. What you sacrificed, you heard me, by sending your son down here and what he had to go through, it was much worse than I'm unfollowing you, Dee-1. Dee-1, I'm not supporting you anymore. It was much worse than that, you heard me? So, man, I love everybody. I love everybody who may not understand my heart. I appreciate Kendrick Lamar for understanding my heart. Definitely do. And we're going to keep this thing moving, you heard me? So that's How long this been, man? Because I'm still self-conscious about how long I be talking for.
I'm not even telling you, man. I'm letting you cook.
Come on, man.
Cook, bro.
I'm serious,
cook,
bro.
Cook.
Dog, I cook. I don't know how to cook, bro. I eat out every day, dog. I be spending so much money on food. I don't know how to cook.
Can I ask you a question?
Sure, bro.
You spoke about the last year and a half, and we've been friends for a few years now, and I've seen how your career has took a major change within the last year and a half. Just speaking on the people that's been responding to you, right? We can't ignore the positive that comes from that. Like we talk about the Jim Jones, the Joe Buttons, the Rick Rosses, the people that acknowledge you in a negative way. But is it some sense of relief or just validation, if anything else, that you have the biggest rapper in the world right now responding to you in a positive way? Because the last year and a half was great for your career. However, it still was negative. Now you got somebody, not just somebody, the biggest artist at this moment who's giving you your flowers, and your name is in the headlines for something positive. It's always been positive, but you know what I mean. Does that make you feel good?
I've experienced condemnation and validation at the highest levels. And I thank God for it all. The condemnation has strengthened my character and created a resilience inside of me to where I refuse to back down even when other people are opposing me because I know who I'm representing. And the validation has created a level of awareness and an even larger platform to continue to move forward and make impact. And that's all I've ever wanted to do. I was making impact as a middle school teacher without the big platform. I stopped teaching middle school and I was like, God, I hope I'm not just out here chasing being famous for no reason. I want to have the platform to actually do and say what you will be pleased with. And I believe the validation continues to let me know that God is just nudging me saying, I got you, D. Keep going. All glory to him.
Yeah, that's such a dope perspective. I want to ask you one more thing. You know, it's easy to talk about your faith, right? It's easy to say, you know, like, that's what happens in life and I just got to keep going, et cetera, et cetera. But we see you walking your faith every single day in front of millions of people. And I'm asking you, like, this is me asking you, David Augustine, not Dee-1, right? Deep down, although you walk into your faith, do you feel like part of you needed this in this moment? Because it can be easy to talk about the faith, but sometimes we get beat up, man. And sometimes you just want to walk away. Not saying you wanted to, but do you think that this came at the right time, that you needed this at this moment? Just curious.
It was definitely divine timing. There's feelings that I go through internally. There's times that I got to look myself in the mirror and I got to wear my crown even with tears falling from my eyes, you know, because I know that God has anointed me to do this work for however long he got me here for. And people don't see those battles, you know, that you fight. They don't see them battles. So I never question when anything happens, the condemnation or the elevation. I never question when any of it happens, man. Like, God's will is perfect. And I'm not forcing any of this to happen. I'm not opposed to it when it happens because it's like, hey, this was written already. This was written already. So yeah, man, this stuff feel, man, that elevation that I'm feeling and that validation that I'm feeling, it definitely keeps my fire lit. You heard me? If I'm constantly pouring into people, I got to make sure that my cup is full so I can continue to pour, you know, and sometimes my cup could get a little empty. Going on social media, sometimes your cup could get plenty empty. Seeing your city not rocking with you when all you want to do is be a beacon of light for the city and in the city and to the city. Yeah, man, like that stuff could empty that cup. for sure. So yeah, this has helped to pour in to my cup so I can effectively pour into other people's cups, for sure, man.
I asked that because this is far beyond a podcast, right? But like just as a friend, I can see the war that you have with like yourself in the world almost without you even saying it, right? And I know for somebody that can sit and they say to whom much is given, much is required, right? And to someone like yourself who sit on the top of the mountain, sometimes feeling alone, although the people might see, oh, Joe Button is saying his name, oh, Rick Ross, that the highest of the highest people might be saying your name, to the average person that might look good, like Dee-1 is getting recognized even though it's negative, not understanding that, man, you're still a person.
Mhm.
So yeah, like they might be promoting, you're helping promote your name, and that can help promote the word, which matters. But at the same time, it's like a person can only take but so much.
Mhm.
You get what I'm saying? I could see that because you're a human. You know what I'm saying? I
Mhm.
could see that it's still a fight. Y'all might be thinking like the past year and a half, my platform has elevated, but look what it took for it to elevate. So
Mm.
that's why I asked you that, and I know it's hard, man. So like
Yeah.
I commend you, and I love you for real.
Yeah, thank you, brother. I love you as well. But I love God more. You hear me? Just like I told New Orleans, I love you too, brother, but I love God more. Like that's just gonna be my thing. Like, hey, I love you, but I love God more. And that is yeah, that's on point. Now you on point with it. You on point with it. Man, God knew that I was built for this before I even knew I was built for this. So when I didn't know how brave I was, destined to become, God chose for my family to name me David, so that when I got old enough to recognize who David was in the biblical days and how brave and fearless he was, and for him to be able to battle a Goliath when no one else was willing to battle Goliath, God knew how that was gonna play out. God knew that, man, when this young brother from New Orleans East, you heard me, from out the Goose, hears what his name is and understands what it means, he's going to allow that to empower him even more. And then he's going to have a love for hip hop, which is going to cause him in a non-traditional way to get in the industry, from being a college student to a college graduate, a middle school teacher, to then becoming a rapper. But when he gets in the industry, his heart is going to be one that is meant to please the Lord. You heard me? He's after God's own heart, just like David was in the Bible. But also, he gonna be fearless, and he not afraid to get in here and say what need to be said and do what need to be done, regardless of who's opposed to it. Like, God knew all that before I even knew it. So yeah, man, like I'm not done. I'm not done. I'm not done yet. And I am at a point now of self-awareness where it's not just about what I am doing or what I can do. It's about who I can empower to do the same thing in their life, in their lane, and through their leadership. That is what this is all about. And I recognize that. So people can look at me and be inspired by what I'm going through or the levels that I'm ascending to and say, man, if he could do it by glorifying God and by being authentically himself, then I know I could do it as well. And exactly, you're right. You can do it because that's what you were called to do. This world try to trick you and make you dim your light or make you get rid of all the things that's meant to make you stand out and be special. That's why we here. Man, I'm done with this episode, man. I'm done. Don't ask me no more questions, you heard me?
Before we go, if you don't mind,
Brother.
Last Thursday, we lost somebody. I just want to say rest in peace, rich homie Quan. He passed away at 33 years old. I wanted you to just open the floor for you to be able to say some words about rich homie Quan.
Actually, thank you for saying that. Absolutely. I'm sending prayers and love out to rich homie Quan's family and friends. And I'm praying that his soul can be resting in peace eternally with God. Like, I'm really praying for that, because it pains me. It makes me really sad when we lose somebody in the hip hop community to something that was preventable. And my issue with hip hop is We've created a culture to where we constantly celebrate and glorify things like drug use and selling drugs and glorifying violence. But then when one of our own dies because of drug use or a violent crime or just something that could have been prevented, people literally want to say, well, man, we so sad that that person is gone. We so upset. Our hearts is with that person. And it's like, let's use this as an opportunity to self-reflect and say that we need to get rid of a culture to where we've been glorifying all that stuff. And that's my issue with hip hop. And during this moment, we lost another one, y'all. So what we gonna do, man? What is we gonna do? We gotta do better. So that's why I have created the Platinum Pledge. And if somebody watching this and you haven't signed the Platinum Pledge stands for People Leading a Transformation Involving Newly Unified Mindsets. That's what Platinum stands for. The Platinum Pledge says we as a hip-hop community no longer want to create, support, or promote music that's glorifying murder, drug dealing, drug usage, disrespecting women, and sexual irresponsibility. And we can still have an amazing hip-hop space without having to glorify those things. We can still talk about those topics without having to glorify them, you heard me? And if you haven't signed it, I need you to sign that thing because I'm taking everybody. It's been 9 months since I started the Platinum Pledge, and all these thousands and thousands of people who have signed it, now we finna mobilize together. 9 months is how long a baby is carried inside of the womb, you heard me? With that being said, we've been sitting on this for 9 months, and it's time for this thing to officially be birthed and to go out there and to truly make the impact that it's destined to make. So sign the Platinum Pledge. It takes 2 seconds. Sign your name, sign your email, you heard me? It's at Dee-1music.com, D-E-E, the number 1, music.com. Rest in peace, Rich Homie Quan, man. Sending love to all his people. Like I said, hip-hop, we can do better. We gotta do better, you heard me? We gonna do better. And that's the end of this episode. Thank y'all for tuning in to Flipping Tables with Dee-1. Shout out to my brother Van Lathan. That was amazing that, you know, when we were talking one day, you told me, you was like, man, you out here flipping tables, you heard me? That's the podcast right there. Flipping Tables with Dee-1. So, yeah. Until next time, and I don't know when next time is, y'all, but I'm about to be consistent with this. You heard me? So, yeah. Just y'all gonna know. Just make sure you subscribe, because if you subscribe to my channels, to the podcast, and to my YouTube channel, and all that stuff, and if you follow me on social media, then you'll inevitably get the notification when the next episode is dropping. Because I'm about to be consistent, man. Because not because y'all want me to, or not because I want to, but because I could feel that nudge from God to be like, yep, there's another platform, brother, just to communicate. When you communicate, you can illuminate. You heard me? Go get my new album, Loaded, out right now. We debuted at number 2 in the world behind Eminem. Go get that. Communicate so you can illuminate. Boom! I hope that you relate. Bye. We done.